Welcome to Portals of Perception and to IHOW, Internal Human Orchestra Work, episode 7. And today may be about making space, a practice to help us assist in making space. I'm saying maybe because we never know what else is going to turn up with us as we do this live and explore live into this evolving work. Beth, Eleni, welcome. Well, so I think what is on this morning here in Pacific Northwest and midday in where Beth you are on somewhere on the East Coast, and Eleni evening probably in Cyprus, connecting through different time zones. What's on is to initially get grounded in the IHOW premise and then explore, as a result of that regrounding, a particular focus, and I start a practice into this theme of making space. So to get us grounded, let me bring a slide. So yes, Internal Human Orchestra Work, IHOW 7. And once again, what is it that we are seeking to address? What is it that we are seeking to assist and offer help with? Well, I would like us to reflect for a moment in a fresh way about some of the human predicaments that we are looking to respond to assist as part of the evolving process that's underway for humanity at this time. And the first predicament is that the human is very crowded without, that is to say, all around us, with physically crowded and also energetically and electromagnetically crowded. 30 years ago, you could say that we are living inside an environment, an electromagnetic environment that is 1,000,000 times more crowded than what was the case, say, in the 1900s. But in the last 2-3 decades, with the advent of the internet and smartphones, the amount of signal noise that the human system is bombarded by and that flies through the human system is not 1,000,000 times more than it was before the technological revolution. It's probably 1,000,000 times more, 1,000,000,000 times more, or several billion times more in terms of the density of signal. So that's crowded without. And also there's so much that we are forever under pressure to respond to from within in a bureaucratic world where you need to respond to 1,000,001 demands on you from all directions. So that sense of being so crowded inside and outside, something we now face as a predicament of human life. And so that's why we are today going to work on making some space. And we're going to build over time series of practices to assist with that. The second predicament, therefore, to highlight as a result of that, is how, as a result of the pressure that we are always under, we become so very fragmented. That is to say, different parts of us are left in different spaces, different domains, different functional roles, different situations. And as a result of that, we find ourselves time and again out of balance. That is to say, we are very much in one part of our life and not so much attending to the other part of our life, let alone being able to integrate those different parts. So that leads us to the third predicament, that because of the first two, we are separated and distanced from the natural sources of well-being. The quality of sleep, the quality of rest and repair, the quality of nourishment, the quality of being able to truly be energetically recharged are diminished by the lifestyle that many people live and by being distanced from the subtle energetic sources that are naturally there to enhance human life. And then, as a result of that, because of all that we are describing, being crowded, being fragmented, being separated and distanced from the natural sources of well-being, the human is largely in a chronic crisis condition. The chronic here means we never get to neutral again. We're forever living in inflamed state. When there is a permanent inflammation in the human system, you call it a chronic condition because the system is never able to fully recover. And as a result of those conditions, for many, the experience of life produces a distorted sense of self. Because if you're never in the well-being, never coming back to a point of balance, never fully able to recover and be retethered and reconnected to the natural frequency and natural well-being of your life, you get a distorted sense of self. And also a distorted sense of life, the purpose of life. We call ourselves human beings. We are describing here the human orchestra, but we are largely certainly in the Western world, but not only in the Western world, we are largely have become homo economicus. We are servants of an economical system in the rush to address those pressures. And it is partly that will time and again produce in us a sense of distorted sense of purpose. So these are some of the predicaments that modern and postmodern living continually is producing in many people, and as I'm saying, catalyzing chronic conditions. And some of what we hope to address in the IHOW body of work, and this idea that we recognize that we have an internal human system, an internal human orchestra made of many parts, made of many instruments, and that part of the work of being human is actually facilitating and bringing those different parts, high, middle, and low, and all the dimensions and levels in between, into better orchestration and better harmony. That is what we're trying to facilitate in the work of IHOW. And it comes along with the body of work that we are developing into the soul, portals into the soul, where we're describing that the work of the soul is to accompany and facilitate better orchestration of the human orchestra. So what we are seeking to facilitate with the practices we are developing, first of all, create space to indeed address this predicament of being so very crowded. That's the focus we are engaging in today. And each and every one of the practices we have cultivated already brought this dimension. Every time we say, well, just find a comfortable place and take one or two deep breaths and settle down, we are actually saying, can you allow yourself to make some space, create some new space for yourself, for your many lives, so that you honor your space, your lives, and so that they can begin to listen to each other. So that's first dimension of the IHOW practices, create space. And then as we go along with those practices, facilitate balance, facilitate better integration, and facilitate resilience and resilient intactness, such that we can become better organized, better orchestrated, so that because we find that better neutral place, we can better connect to sources of well-being. Well-being that's totally natural for us. And as a result of that, produce the kind of soul settlement. Because once the many parts in our system begin to play in greater harmony, one of the things we are exploring in Portals into the Soul is the soul gets to feel that, oh, I'm able to deliver for this human what I'm here to do. I'm able to deliver on my promise. And there is a certain sigh of relief in the soul, because what is the soul? We are describing in Portals into the Soul, the soul as a collective conversation of all parts to all parts. So when the different parts in the human system are not able to listen to each other, it produces that phenomenon, that condition will time and again produce stress in the soul. And when we say stress in the soul, the way it expresses itself is that the range, the vast capacity range and service and accompanying range that the accompaniments range that the soul can proffer to the human orchestra get squeezed to a narrower range, which is the way the soul is experiencing stress. In metaphoric terms, if the human is a piano with 7 octaves, we get to play on only 4 octaves, or only 3 octaves, or only 1 octave, or only half an octave, or only 1 note. So we have all met people that they have one note in their keyboard, 1 note in the piano. They're only able to give 1 response to all things, or 2 responses. I'm okay, or I'm under pressure. That's the polarity that many people are in. And so we're trying to facilitate the expansion of that to produce soul settlement. And as a result of that, to regenerate a fuller, more wholesome sense of self. So I'd offer that as a regrounding in the IHOW endeavor. And let me ask first if there is anything you'd want to offer in response to that, to build on what I said in any aspect that you've been generating and exploring this work for a while. So please, what would you want to offer?
I think it's really important to be able to do this from various points of view or directions, because so much of what we have coming around and toward us these days comes from different vectors, and the same old thing doesn't work. It doesn't solve being able to feel like you're back in yourself, a part of what you're doing. It's almost like you're outside of yourself, trying to get back in yourself to be able to do what you're doing. That's what I would add.
Thank you, Beth. Please, Eleni.
Thank you. I will also add that the need to find balance and integrate different things together, it's very important. And to be focused in what you're doing.
Well, so that's the work we're developing, how to better balance and how to find assisting ways in bringing focus to your life. Okay, so how about if we explore this? And this is a live exploration. We've never done this, so this is not something that's been rehearsed. We are exploring this, and we probably give it more than one take and evolve the practice. So what we are about to do, we're about to engage in a sequence of moves to facilitate this first need, which is make space. And let me describe what I'm about to lead us through, and then I will lead us through those moves. Again, the outcome, the benefit is getting more centered in yourself, feeling that you're able to bring the different parts of your system together, and within that, feeling that and experiencing it, you have larger space. Because so much of what people experience today is that they are in one situation, but they are actually preoccupied with the where they come from or where they need to go into next. I call it the never-ending purgatorial preoccupation with the next. It's like you're actually physically in one place, but in your mind, you're frazzled thinking about the dozen other things you need to do later today. And the reality is that if you are centered and grounded and present and you've done your preparation, you can be fully present wherever you are and attend to the fullness of the here and now. So first I will ask us to find a settled place, then an arrangement in ourselves. Then I will lead us through a very simple movement, almost invisible, the smallest, most minimal movement, to experience the entire focus into one small movement and to experience how the rest of the human system is in support of that one small movement. And we'll do this with 1 or 2 or 3 examples. Third, I will lead us through sensing and scanning if there are areas of pressure or tension or tightness in the system, and explore a way to not fight with that, but to gently release that pressure, all as part of making space. And thirdly, I will lead us through a practice where we ask internally our own system to make space. And if there are parts that are preoccupying too large or too loud space, to ask them to step back or to step in another space or to step even into a different environment, essentially in the process enlarging the space that we are. Because we actually hold a mental model and an energetic model that defines our space. And because of that, so much of, as you're saying, Beth, so many of the vectors that come our way in life, we turn to be reactive to, because we feel we don't have the space to accommodate to these. So making space is step 1 to be able to manage with greater agility, greater resilience, greater flexibility, and find a place inside that's centered, not frazzled, and more neutral in the way we lead life. Okay, so that was the story of what is about to happen. And I will join you in standing. Okay. So just find a place that allows you to be most comfortable. Again, you can be watching this practice and actually be sitting or standing as we are. Potentially, you could even lie on your back. That's all right too. And take a 1 or 2 deep breaths and just relax if there is any tension in your system, so you can be fully present here and now. When I want to take a deep breath and fill my lungs, I often expand my arms because it is a way for me to remind myself that the rib cage can expand even more. And it's a way I already am expanding a little my space. And now, see if you can find the simplest, most minimalistic movement you can make. I'm going to make a movement with my right thumb right here. The smallest movement possible. You can join me together and do with me the same movement with your right thumb, or you can choose another movement. And I want you to try and feel that in the thumb, and then begin, don't overstrain it, begin to feel how, although you're only moving the thumb, the entire palm and right arm participate in the movement. You may choose to do this with one of your toes. I can actually feel, as I move my right thumb, I can feel it all the way up my arm, all the way into the shoulder, into the scapula, the middle back, all the way to down the spine. One simple movement, the entire human orchestra, the entire human system actually participates and supports. Let's see if I can actually feel this even down to my right foot and right and left foot. I can. Everything is connected in the human system. So when you move your thumb, your little left toe would feel it. If you let your inner system be involved in supporting and orchestrating that movement. Let's try it one more time now, different movement. I'm going to use my two hands very slowly, almost hardly moving. Initially, I feel this in my palms, but it extends then to the arms, the shoulders, my back, makes my spine even longer. And I can feel it throughout, all the way down my back, my pelvic, and into my legs. A simple movement. Is there a third example, Beth, you want to introduce, this simple movement that we will be able to experience through one move the entire human orchestra, please?
So simply raise your eyebrows a little bit and let them come back down. It's a very small movement. Initially, you might feel it in the tensions of your face, and then an elongation of the neck down into the pelvis and sacrum. And almost a letting go as a way of supporting in the shoulders. But a trace of support through the center part of the body, down into the feet. It might even change your breathing. That's the example that I have.
Any movement, Eleni, that you would offer that helps you feel the entire system? Thank you, Beth. Any movement from you, Eleni?
Yes, I would like to offer the small movement with the little finger, the pinky finger, the right hand, just to try to circulate it either clockwise and try to feel it that it's going all around your human system. And it's like it creates a big spiral.
So you may be doing this with us and thinking to yourself, I don't feel anything. I'm just moving my little finger and I don't feel anything. That's okay too. Part of this is relaxing into the practice, giving yourself time and permission. And as you do so, another part is recognizing that so much of our senses, typically in the world, are directed outside. And what we're actually inviting is the turning of the senses inside the system. We can, as we so much sense to the outside, which a lot of the usage of the sensing to the outside is defensive. What is going to surprise me that I need to prepare for, to defend from? Part of what we're doing in IHOW is we're turning the sensing organs inside, bring the light inside. And we can learn to relax, to turn those sensing organs on the inside of the system to feel how we are so connected on the inside. That's part of what we're sensing into. Okay. So now let us make the next move with those, having brought the focus to one simple movement. When you practice this at home for yourself, you may even try to do this with your head. The simplest movement. Feel how just a 1 degree shift with your head, how it's registered all the way down your spine and to your feet. So now, take a slow scan from the top of your head down and sense inside your body. Is there any area where you feel certain tension or certain tightness? And if you do find any spot, just recognize it, just acknowledge it. And if you live in a male body, use your left hand. Let's say I feel a certain tension right now in the area of the stomach. Perhaps a little more on the right side, maybe the area of the liver. So I'm going to take my left palm. If you live in a female body, you'll take your right palm and just rest it nearby. You're not trying to do anything, but just to acknowledge that there is an area in your system that wants your attention, asking you to pay attention to it. And let yourself breathe into that space. And then let your arm extend all the way out and release. One more time. You may go now to a different space. Say there is tension in the right shoulder. You may physically strain yourself, or there may be another reason why there is some tension. And if you live in a male body, then you use your left palm. If you live in a female body, you use your right palm. And release. You might even imagine that what you release goes out to the woods, goes out to the ocean, goes out to anywhere you can imagine that can receive that pressure. Would you like Eleni or Beth to offer your scan? Where do you find an area that you want to attend to? And how and what you're doing to offer a release, please.
So take your hand and for the ladies or the females, the right hand, and for the men, it would be the left hand. Just bring it to the top back part of your pelvis. And just breathe into it for a minute. Feel, become aware of what's there. Breathe into it. You may feel other parts of that area also releasing down the feet, down the legs. And then let it go out to the side.
Well, you take your right hand for the ladies and the left for the men, and gently put it in the back of on your head, in the back of your head. Mm. Try to sense and feel. When you feel there's more hot or you collected something, slowly, slowly, you just release outside.
Thank you very much. So we are experiencing that we can scan the entire system and recognize where there may be some tension, and that we can offer it assistance by first acknowledging it, recognizing, and bringing a palm to that area nearby, and release, invite and release. The third move for space making, I'm actually going to come back to sitting, so I can do this sitting, and you can do this sitting or standing, whatever works. So what we have done was we used movement, and we used the somatic sensing to begin to create some new space. Now we want to overlay that with the inner dialogue that we can create with those inner members of our orchestra, those inner parts. So you may choose to do this with closed eyes. It may be easier, or you may be with open eyes, whatever works for you. I will ask you to first, again, now register. If we registered more physically for the space before, now sense and feel to the mental space. Do you have as large a mental space as you'd want to have, as large as can be? And now, as you look inside, you may have the awareness of things you dealt with earlier today, or yesterday, or last week, or people you interacted with, or impressions that came your way. And if any of those sounds produced stress or created too strong an impression or crowded you, can you turn to it internally, even with a gentle smile, and say, I recognize you're here and you occupy a lot of space in my interior space. Can you give me some space, please? can you take one step back to give me just a little more space? Similarly, you may have been dealing with certain worries or certain concerns or certain pressures in your life, in your family and people around you, people you care for and look after. Can you take notice inside? Do you find that any of those dimensions is now taking too much of your interior space? And if you do, ask any of those parts, any of those members of your orchestra, tell it very simply, you're not going away, you're here, you will be available, but right now you're going to ask it to take one step back and give you more space. Or if necessary, even ask it to go and sit comfortably in an armchair in the other room in your house. Or even find a space that's relaxing for it outside of your nearby house, somewhere in the woods or some place you know, a place where it will be nourished, so that you can have for yourself right now the larger space. And now pay attention, what is filling the space that was created? It is possible that some other part of you will be rushing into the space that was created, another concern or another need. And if that's the case, you ask it also to step back and or move into another space so that you can have a larger space for you. And when you do that, there may be a third voice or a third nature or a third need or a fourth and a fifth one. And ask all of them to simply say to them, I recognize you're here. You're an important part of my orchestra, important part of my cosmology. I'm not going away. You're not going away. Right now, I would like to ask you to step back to give me a little more space inside. And see if you can begin to feel in and register an inner space, a growing, expanding inner space. And a lot of the time when you do this, something else will come to want to take that space and ask that, whatever it is, a worry, a concern, a need, ask it to take a step back so that you can see and feel the subtle, vibrant, luminescent light that can begin to emerge, that's naturally always present in your system. The inner space that you are is filled with a rarefied, vibrant, luminescent, warm light. See if you can feel for that space. So you may you may choose to be here in this space for a while longer. When timing is right for you, you can now bring all the other parts of you back in. And they will find that they have a place and have a space. And guess what? Even when they come in, you still have a larger space because you've just created a larger space for yourself. So play with this in your own way when you feel you are crowded. You can go through the full sequence of the moves we demonstrated today, beginning with just taking a deep breath and relaxing, and then making the smallest minimalist movement to see how one part is connected to all other parts. And then scanning through your system to discover where there may be an area of tightness or pressure, and attending to it, recognizing it, breathing into it, and using your palm to release it. And then what you have done somatically with sensing in the last move, do so with your mind and the inner members, the inner parts, asking them, those that are crowding you, to make space. That's the practice of today. I'd ask if Beth, Eleni, if you have any registrations that you want to offer from your experience in any of the aspects we explored today.
I feel a very different level of vitality in my system that's naturally there. And it caused me to think that it's a bit like when I learned to speak another language, finding the accent of something is in a different place, that perhaps how I look inside my place of awareness accent needs to be in a different location. That would allow me to come back to the vitality perhaps a little bit quicker and perhaps to stay there more.
Thank you.
I feel I am in a much better balance and in a much better energetic state than from the time we started. And actually, we have created space, and you can be in that space in a much better way.
Well, thank you both for these comments, and you're absolutely right. We have that space available for us. And Beth, what you describe as that inner vitality, the point you made, that vitality is naturally there. It's just most of the time we are not available in ourselves because we're too crowded, so it is suppressed. And what we've done, we've created the space for the natural vitality to emerge.
May I add one more thing, Aviv? I notice along with this is also a different sense of time, that there's a space in time, and that allows a lot of other things to come and be available. Instead of everything being crunched, trying to do the one thing that you have to do.
Yeah, beautiful. the time-space continuum. There is different time in space, and there is different space in time. So with that, let us conclude here this IHOW practice. Again, you're invited to play with this by yourself, with others, and you're invited to join our portals explorations with IHOW and with portals into the soul, all dedicated and aimed to help you access, as Beth just said, the natural vitality that is yours, so that you can be more available to all that you're hoping to be able to participate in and join in your life. Thank you, and to be continued. Along with our website at portalsofperception.org, Portals is also available on YouTube and on all podcast platforms, as well as social media. You can become an active member and join the conversation in community events. And you can help us get the word out by liking this content and by sharing it with your friends.